Welcome to our deep dive into 100 Years of Solitude. We're going to be tackling magical realism today with Gabriel García Márquez's masterpiece, and you've given us a fantastic collection of excerpts here.
Absolutely.
I'm already hooked.
Right.
So, expert speaker, what strikes you about the overall feel of these passages? What's the vibe you're getting?
Well, right away you get plunged into this world of the Buendía family.
Yeah.
This family grappling with fate and love and war, and this idea of history repeating itself in this isolated town of Macondo.
Yeah.
Marcus blends the ordinary and the extraordinary so seamlessly. It's like he weaves fantastical events into these very human dramas, you know?
Right, yeah.
It's captivating.
It really is.
Yeah.
And speaking of captivating, let's dive right into the founding of Macondo and the Buendía family legacy.
Okay.
The excerpts highlight José Arcadio Buendía, the patriarch, who establishes this town based on a dream. He's obsessed with progress, but it seems like his actions lead his family and town towards solitude and this strange repetition of events. What's your take on that?
Well, it's this paradox, right,
Yeah.
that sets the tone for the whole novel.
Okay.
And you see José Arcadio Buendía's obsession with alchemy and magnets,
Oh, yeah.
even flying machines, all these symbols of advancement.
Right.
But then you have Ursula, his wife, who's so incredibly pragmatic. Remember when he trades her family gold for magnets, thinking they can be weapons?
Oh, yeah.
She's the one who sees the danger in his unchecked ambition.
It's such a great point.
Yeah.
It's like their contrasting personalities really embody that tension between dreams and reality.
Exactly.
And then you have the gypsies arriving, especially Melquiades. He brings this air of magic and knowledge, but also this sense of foreboding. It
Yeah.
feels like he's introducing both wonder and potential destruction to Macondo.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Think about it. Melquiades gives José Arcadio Buendía with the alchemist's lab,
Right.
which just further fuels his obsessions.
Right.
And then we see Melquiades himself, ravaged by disease,
Yeah.
yet somehow able to restore his youth through supernatural means.
Right.
He's like a living, breathing embodiment of magical realism.
It's true.
And this really sets the stage for how magic is intertwined with the very real struggles of the Buendía family
Yeah.
throughout the whole story.
It's like he embodies the allure and danger of the unknown. And then there's that expedition that José Arcadio Buendía leads
Right.
to try to find the sea,
Yeah.
hoping for a connection with the outside world.
Yeah.
But what they find is a decaying Spanish galleon, just completely overtaken by nature. It almost feels symbolic of how progress can be forgotten and lost.
Interesting.
How do you interpret that discovery?
Well, what's fascinating is how this journey emphasizes the family's isolation.
Okay.
The world outside Macondo is this untamed force,
Yeah.
almost resistant to the progress he envisions.
Right.
You know, he wants to use magnets for warfare,
Uh-huh.
but reality throws back this decaying symbol of past ambition.
Yeah.
And notice how time seems to warp during the expedition.
Right.
They're surrounded by this stifling, blood-soaked atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's as though they're trapped by the environment, both physically and metaphorically, you know?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It's like that journey is a microcosm of their entire story, filled with ambition, thwarted dreams, and that suffocating sense of being trapped.
Exactly.
And back in Macondo, José Arcadio Buendía continues his relentless pursuit of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Becoming increasingly detached from his family.
Yeah.
And Ursula tries to ground him.
Yeah.
She reminds him to focus on his sons,
Yeah.
who are running wild like donkeys.
Uh-huh.
It's as though she senses that potential for chaos in his ambition.
That line perfectly captures Ursula's pragmatism.
Yeah.
While he's lost in his crazy inventions, she sees the very real consequences for their family.
Absolutely.
This tension between dreams and reality, ambition and its costs, that's a thread that runs throughout the novel.
It really does.
Yeah.
And then there's the founding of Macondo itself.
Yeah.
It's incredible how José Arcadio Buendía simply chooses to settle down after a dream where he encounters this town called Macondo, a name with no meaning at all but a supernatural echo.
Right.
What do you make of that, listener?
Yeah.
It's like he's creating a world out of his subconscious.
Totally. Yeah. And it's important to note
Yeah.
that he only deciphers the meaning of his dream about houses with mirror walls when he discovers ice.
Oh, that's right.
This fascination with the unknown,
Yeah.
with things beyond human comprehension,
Right.
becomes a defining trait of the Buendías.
It really does.
It really does.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about love and loss in Macondo.
Okay.
The story of Jose Arcadio and the gypsy girl,
Mm.
which ends in this sudden decapitation,
Oh, yeah.
immediately sets this dark and passionate tone for love in this isolated town.
Right. That abrupt ending is so significant.
Yeah.
We don't even know why the gypsy girl was decapitated,
Right.
which adds to the mystery and sense of foreboding.
Totally.
And this tragic event is just the beginning, though.
Yeah.
The novel is full of these complex relationships and intense consequences.
Right.
Rebecca's forbidden love for her adopted brother,
Mm-hmm.
Amaranta's bitter rejection of Pietro Crespi,
Hmm.
which leads to his suicide.
Wow.
The love triangle involving Aureliano, Remedios, and Pilar Tenera, it's all so intense.
It's so much.
It is.
It's like Macondo itself intensifies emotions, magnifying the joys and pains of love.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is how this connects to the theme of solitude.
Okay.
Even when surrounded by family and lovers, the characters seem profoundly alone.
That's such a keen observation.
Yeah.
It's as if they're unable to truly connect or escape their predetermined fates.
Wow.
You know, even when experiencing intense love,
Yeah.
there's this underlying current of solitude that permeates their lives.
Right.
It's almost palpable.
Yeah, it's like they're trapped in a cycle, not just of history repeating itself,
Yeah.
but of their own actions and desires leading them to the same tragic outcomes.
Exactly.
And speaking of cycles, the excerpts also touch upon war and political upheaval in Macondo.
Right. We see this cycle play out,
Yeah.
most dramatically with Colonel Aureliano Buendia
Right.
leading all those rebellions.
Yeah.
He begins as this idealistic figure,
Mm-hmm.
but over time, he becomes disillusioned
Right.
by the endless violence. Like
Yeah.
the wars themselves become absurd
Yeah.
with, constantly switching ballots
Mm.
and the arbitrary nature of power.
Right.
What do you think, listener?
Yeah.
Does this resonate with
Totally.
any events you see happening in the world today?
Yeah. It definitely makes you think about the cyclical nature of conflict.
Right.
How even with the best intentions,
Yeah.
it can be hard to escape the patterns of the past.
They can.
It's almost like Colonel Aureliano Buendia's journey reflects this larger commentary on the futility of trying to break free
Yeah.
from those ingrained patterns.
Right. Generations grapple with the same conflicts.
Right.
Yet they achieve so little lasting change.
Yes, up to.
It's a bleak but insightful commentary
Yeah.
on the human condition.
And then there's the arrival of the Banana Company.
Right.
It brings this brief period of prosperity to Macondo,
Yeah.
but it ultimately leads to decay and that horrifying massacre. It's like progress itself becomes a destructive force.
The Banana Company is such a crucial turning point, isn't it?
It is.
In the story.
Yeah.
It represents this intrusion of the outside world. You get this
Yeah.
wave of modernization
Right.
that corrupts Macondo and just leaves this deep scar
Yeah.
on the Buendia family. Their madness, their isolation, their sense of impending doom.
Right.
It all intensifies after the company arrives.
Totally.
What do you think this says about the dangers of unchecked progress, listener?
Mm-hmm.
And how does it connect to that
Right.
recurring theme of cyclical history?
It's like the Banana Company embodies the allure and danger of progress.
Yeah.
How something that promises to bring positive change
Right.
can ultimately lead to destruction and despair.
Exactly.
And then you have Ursula's death.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking to witness her decline as she tries to guide her family to the very end, even as she's losing her sight and her grip on reality.
Ursula is such a powerful figure.
Yeah.
She represents tradition and resilience, but even she can't stop the inevitable decline.
It's true.
Her death symbolizes that loss of their connection to the past,
Right.
to those roots that had held them together for so long.
And after the Banana Company leaves,
Yeah.
Macondo is just left in ruins,
Right.
almost like a ghost of its former self.
Uh-huh.
It's a stark reminder of how even fleeting moments of progress
Yeah.
can ultimately lead back to a state of ruin and solitude.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the face of this decline,
Right.
there's still hope, right?
Right. Yeah.
We see Amaranta Ursula bring a spark of life back to Macondo, at least for a while.
Amaranta Ursula is a fascinating character, isn't she?
Yeah,
She embodies this fleeting moment of hope,
right,
but her marriage to Gaston and her affair with Aureliano
right.
ultimately end in tragedy.
Yeah.
It's like she's trying to break free,
Uh-huh.
find love and happiness outside the confines of Macondo,
Mm-hmm.
but the cycle pulls her back in.
It's like she can't escape the fate
Yeah.
that seems to haunt all the Buendias. And then, of course, there's the birth of Aureliano of Babylonia,
Right.
the last Buendia, born with the infamous pig's tail.
Yes.
What a powerful image. It
Yeah.
feels like the ultimate symbol of the family's doomed legacy.
A pig's tail is such a striking image. It's almost biblical.
Right.
Like a curse passed down through generations.
Sure.
But it's Aureliano
Right.
who finds the parchments,
Yeah.
the writings of Melchiades
Yeah.
that have been passed down through generations.
Right.
What do you make of that, listener? What's the significance of him being the one
Right.
to uncover the family's secrets?
It's like he's been chosen to bear the weight of their history, to
Yeah.
confront the truth of their past.
Exactly.
And within those parchments, we find the prophecy.
Right.
The Buendia lineage will be wiped out
Mm-hmm.
once those parchments are deciphered.
Yeah.
It's such a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
The act of understanding their past,
Right.
of uncovering their history, leads to their ultimate destruction.
It's like their fate is intertwined with their history.
Yeah.
And the very act of trying to understand that history
Right.
leads to their demise.
Wow.
It raises so many questions about fate and free will.
Yeah.
To what extent are we in control of our own lives?
Right.
Are we destined to repeat the mistakes of the past?
Mm-hmm.
Or can we somehow break free from these cyclical patterns?
Yeah, it's like their destiny is this closed loop. And trying to open it up is what triggers the end.
Yeah.
But maybe that destruction is also a form of liberation. Could it be a way of breaking free from the cycles that have haunted them for generations?
That's a thought-provoking idea.
Yeah.
It reminds us that 100 Years of Solitude, it isn't about passively accepting fate.
Right.
It's about recognizing these patterns,
Yeah.
understanding the forces at play, and then asking ourselves,
Right.
what choices do we have within those constraints?
What I find so powerful is how the novel makes you think about your own life,
Yeah.
your own family history,
Mhm.
and the choices that we all make.
Right.
It highlights how even small actions can ripple outward and have an impact,
Absolutely.
beyond ourselves.
Yeah.
It's a lot to consider.
It is.
There's one detail I keep coming back to, the plaster St. Joseph.
Oh, yeah.
He pops up throughout the story, almost like a symbol of faith and the passage of time.
It's a subtle detail that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Remember Ursula, in her later years, clinging to the belief that someone will return for their lost saint.
Oh, yeah.
It shows how the past lingers, how even in decline, we hold on to those fragments of hope,
Of meaning.
of meaning.
It's like those plaster saints
Mhm.
become these tangible representations of the family's history,
Yeah.
scattered throughout the house, like their memories are scattered across time, and it's left to Aureliano,
Yeah.
the last Buendia,
The last
to try and piece those fragments together to decipher the meaning of it all.
And that brings us back to the prophecy
Right.
and that central paradox.
Yeah.
Understanding their past, uncovering their history, ultimately leads to their destruction.
Yeah, but maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
there's hope in that ending.
Right.
What do you think, listener? Is the destruction a form of liberation? A way to break free?
It's like the ending is both tragic and hopeful
Yeah.
at the same time.
Right.
We know the Buendia line ends, but there's this sense of closure, of a cycle finally being broken. It leaves you wondering if, in that ending, there's also the possibility of something new beginning.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
100 Years of Solitude is a book that truly stays with you.
It does.
It's a story about family, history, the human condition,
Yeah.
but it's also about magic, the power of language,
Right.
and this enduring mystery of life itself.
Absolutely.
What's your biggest takeaway from our exploration today, expert speaker?
For me, it's this. Even when faced with solitude and what seems like inevitable fate,
Yeah.
we still have the capacity for hope, love, and beauty.
Right.
The novel is full of tragedy,
Yeah.
but it's also brimming with life, passion, and these moments of pure wonder.
That's beautifully said.
Thank you.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
Listener, we leave you with this question. What cycles have you noticed in your own life?
Yeah.
What patterns keep repeating? And how might you break free from them to create a different future for yourself?
It's a good question.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Absolutely.
and keep seeking those 100 years of solitude moments in your own life.